Hi guys, Jordan from B&P Campers. I'm just going to do your handover video on your Autocruise Stargazer. So if you start under the bonnet, we've got your engine battery over here on the left hand side, positive over here at the back, negative at the front. Then got your brake fluid attached to the servo just down the back there. Power steering fluid, this one just here at the front. Engine oil dipstick is this one just here with the yellow top, and you actually get to your engine oil, how to fill it up from undoing that entire thing. So tighten that up. Your engine coolant reservoir is this one just up here. Air filter sits inside this box, and then you've got washer fluid up here on the right hand side. Diesel filler point is this one just here. An ignition key needs to go in to undo that one. I don't think there's really anything to show you on the passenger side, but obviously I'll show you the rest of it on the driver's side in just a minute. The gas locker, so you've got one 6 kilo propane bottle here. It looks like you've got a new fitted regulator and flexible hose. So the date on the flexible hose there is 2021. Turning the bottle on is anti-clockwise around to the left. Turning it off is clockwise around to the right. But I'll leave that on just for the I'll show you a few bits and pieces working on the inside. Your wastewater drain is this one just here. You see it's just dripping out, just because I've literally just pulled one of the taps through a minute. If you wanted to come through a bit more properly, you do need to actually pull it out from here, and then you see there it will drain out a bit better like that. Even more so actually if you pull it all the way down. See, there you go, coming out a bit better. Bike rack at the back of the van obviously, and your tow bar with the actual tow ball and the electrics already there, which by the way, if you didn't know, is really handy. The motorhomes are a bit sort of hard to come by with a tow bar pre-fitted, because they actually have to be fabricated for each van, so it's good that you've already got that there. Toilet cassette locker, so if I lift up on the bottom here, you can see the little yellow tab down there. That will release the actual cassette and let you pull that out. This little part in here has been lubricated as part of the hab check, and then popping it away, it's literally just as simple as pushing it all the way in. You've got a freshwater flush, so you haven't got to worry about any sort of separate flush fluid or anything like that. So that's it. Sorry about the noise. So your hookup point is this one just here. So I'll show you, we're just on the off side of the van. Hookup just here. So that's at home, at your campsite, wherever you are. That'll give you access to your charger and anything 240 volt, like your plug sockets and things. And then you've got your freshwater inlet up quite high so that you get a good flow down into the water tank. So yeah, that's that. And then if you want to lock that up, you push it in and turn around to the right like I just did there. And then pop this circular key in, and then just turn it whichever way it'll go, and then pull it out. So now I can't take that out at all. You've got two vents just down here on the offside as well. So you've got this one, which is your heating vent, and this one here, which is your hot water. So if you've got either of those two on anytime, you'll be able to feel the heat coming out from them. This one you'll feel it from underneath, and this one you'll feel it from the sides. In the cab, handbrake sits over on the right hand side, by the way, just so you don't catch yourself when you jump out. It does hurt. The lights, so you've got side lights and then just main beam. You've also got a 5-speed manual gearbox, hazard lights over here, all of your sort of heater controls just there in the middle, single DIN Sony head unit just down there. Indicators are on this little front one here, and then the flash to flash your headlights is the one at the back. Washers and wipers are on this right hand side. To actually get to release the bonnet, you've got this little lever just down here, so that'll release it. And obviously, like I said before on the phone, we have had the bonnet resprayed, and I'm not sure if you can, you probably can tell on the video, it is really, really nice. They've managed to, if I just drop this down a sec, they've managed to keep and save this original Autocruise sticker as well. So yeah, really, really nice and shiny now. So that's good. So just jump in, show you a few bits on the inside. Right, so we'll start with the control panel, I reckon. I've left this all out for a reason, by the way. I'll show you in a minute. So the control panel is nice and simple. On the left hand side here is all of your 240 volt stuff. So if you had a hookup plugged in and none of the plug sockets were working properly, or something wasn't working on 240 volt, just come in here and just double check that these are all in their upright position. If they're not, then just flick it up and try again. Also, if you have a hookup plugged in, you need to have this little button down here to the on symbol. What it basically does is it kind of like isolates your charger. So if you have it in the off position and then plug a hookup into the van, the charger won't start charging the leisure battery. So leave that on because it won't work until you plug a hookup in it anyway. You've then got battery select. So you want to leave that down on van if you want to use the van at all, if you want to use the lights and things like that, and not up at car. You want to leave it on van. When you get out of the van, switch it into the middle. It's like a little rocker switch like that. But for the most part, you want to leave it down on van. And pump, again, if you're not using it, switch it off. But if you want to use it inside the van, down to internal. And the only reason it's got an external sort of switch as well is that on some vans, it's like an optional extra, you've got a it's kind of like an external 12 volt point next to the fresh water inlet, so you could like drop a pump and power it from there, but you don't have that on this, so you don't need to worry about that at all. So basically, yeah, like I said, just off if you're not going to use the van, and then down and down if you are. As long as you're down on van, you can use this test switch here. So press up to see the test the battery level. So you see there, you look at the top gauge for that one, the colours. So you're looking at right at the very top of the green. And then down is testing your water level. So you've got just under half a tank of fresh water. So it's all perfect. So that's the control panel. The fuses are just here on the right hand side. If you wanted to double check, if for example you switched all of that on and then you tried your lights and no single light would work, it might be worth just having a little look at these fuses. Obviously let us know, if you get any problems, but that's just the fuses for everything 12 volt just there. All right, so I'll just show you what's under here just as I've got it out. So down here on the left hand side is your heater, just so that you know, and then over there on the left is your boiler. If you wanted to drain the water out from your boiler, you've got this little yellow tab. The position it's in now, in its horizontal position, is allowing water to stay in the boiler. If you lifted it up so it's facing vertical, you'd be draining all the water out, basically. So if you want to drain the water out of the boiler, so for example, if you're not going to use the van and you know it's going to get to like freezing temperatures, you need to drain it out from there. And also your water pump sits just down there. The actual pump itself sits underneath the I think it's inside the tank even. But you've got your freshwater drain, which is this one just here, and your pump is basically a pressure switch for your pump. So that's that. So that's where you drain out your fresh water. That's where you drain out your boiler. And that's it. That's just why I thought I'd show you it under there, because there are a few helpful bits under there. So I'll just push this back. Put that back that way. All right, so the next thing I'll show you is your heating and hot water. Well, first off, just before I forget, because I will forget, if you want to heat your water up via the electric hookup, so no gas, you can flick this little switch down here. Obviously, like I said to you, that's bearing in mind a hookup cable has to be plugged into the van. But yeah, so if you had no gas, or if you didn't want to use the gas, once you've filled your boiler up, which I'll show you how to do in a minute, you can come down here and switch that switch, and then after about sort of half an hour or so, you have nice hot water at your taps. if you didn't want to use electric and you wanted to use gas, which is the more sort of usual way, first thing you need to do is make sure that you've got that cover off outside, which I just showed you a minute ago, off of the boiler vent. So the one at the top here is your boiler, so Ultra Store is the boiler, and Trumatic E is the heating. So we start at the top of the boiler. If I wanted to heat the water up inside the boiler, I literally just switch this button on like that. It'll do its thing, light up, and then it'll just basically just heat the water up to whatever temperature you set it here. All right. So at the minute, it'll heat it up to 55 degrees, and then it'll switch itself off. It is as simple as that. Obviously, you need to make sure that you don't have that on when you're driving, same as the heating, because you have to have your gas off before you start driving anyway, but it's just something to point out. And your heating is just as simple. If you go down on this right-hand side, you just get a fan. So that'll start blowing air around to any of these little circular vents around the van. And if you go up, so back to the middle and then up, you'll get your heating. So basically it will just light up, and then after about sort of 2 or 3 minutes, you have nice hot air pumping around. On the left hand side, you don't really have to worry about that. It's just up to you whether you want a small flame or a big flame. That is honestly all it is. So I'll switch that off. And again, this is just a temperature dial. So it will just get to a certain temperature and then switch itself off. So that one to the middle there for off, this one at the top down for off. So that's your heating and hot water. I've shown you your control panel. What else have we got? So we've got all of your paperwork and the carpets and things like that are in here in the wardrobe. Cupboard underneath that is also quite helpful. If you ever wanted to get inside your freshwater tank, you've got access to the top of the tank just there. So you literally just undo that thing there, and you know, it is literally as simple as that. You just go in there. If you wanted to put anything in it to clean it, or you know, anything at all, you've got access to your freshwater tank just there. I remember there was something written on the invoice about this drawer here. I just wanted to point out to you, I don't actually think, and it's not me trying to sort of pass the buck on it, this button here, I don't think it's ever done anything, because I can't see any kind of, there's nothing here that comes up to the top, and I don't think there's anything underneath that goes down either. So what there is, what it looks like originally there was, is this magnet here, and there's a magnet on this side as well. So basically that just sort of magnets itself in, and then a previous owner at some point has fitted this little turnbuckle just so that, you know, it doesn't come out when you're driving. So that's kind of, you know, we can't really do much about that, to be completely honest. So that's that. Just thought I'd point that out. Cupboard underneath is pretty important. So you've got these 4 gas isolator taps. So they all isolate gas to individual appliances. So, you know, this one here is your water heater, heating. Next one is the oven and the grill and the hob. And the next one is the fridge. So if you were on holiday, for example, and you thought there was an issue with one of the appliances specifically, you can just go in there and isolate them and sort of carry on with your holiday using the gas on other things as well. It just sort of saves you worry if you were worried about a specific appliance. Again, obviously just let us know if you get any issues, but you know, it's there if you need it. The cooker is nice and simple. So I think the rear 2, if I remember properly, the rear 2 you need a clicker for, so we will give you one of those. We tried to get in there and fix them, but they I think sort of over the years they've kind of frayed, and it's a bit difficult to, I think we'd have to replace the entire lot to actually to fix that. So we'll supply you with clicker. A lot of these don't even have this ignition anyway, so to be honest, they can be a bit troublesome anyway. So we'll supply you with one of those, and then hopefully you can sort of get on with that okay. Anyway, so you've got these 6 dials at the top. So they've all got their own little diagram telling you which one does which. So you've got this one here that does the grill, oven, and then you've got the 4 burners at the top. Grill is probably the one that I need to point out to you the most. So the way these grills work is you've got one side and the other side that both light up. And the only thing you need to look out for is you need to make sure that both sides light up, if that makes sense. Because the ignition is on this side will always light up quickly, but you need to make sure that it's gone all the way around to the other side as well. So if you're not convinced that it's done that, just switch it off, try it again, and just give it a little blow in there, and it should just sort of kick into life and start working properly. That's not just on this particular oven, by the way, that's just all of them. The oven, I don't really need to show you how that works. It's so simple. You literally just turn the dial to whichever gas mark you want whilst holding the little igniter, and it will light up. And then you just shut the door. You also got a little bit of storage underneath there. Just be careful of the wires, and there's probably a gas pipe at the back there as well for the actual oven. But yeah, a bit of storage down there for sort of pots and pans. The bathroom, just whilst it's doing it in a row sort of thing. You've got lights up here, so nice bright lights up there, which was one of the only things I think that the hab check needed, was one of the bulbs. I don't know, I can't remember which one it was. So that was that. The sink is, you know, I don't have to show you how the sink works, but basically cold, hot, and if I just show you the other sink as well, obviously they're both the same, like that. So if I just point out to you as well quickly, just the way that you fill the boiler up, same with any boiler in any of the motorhomes really, you need to basically just make sure that your pump is switched on to internal, like I showed you a minute ago. Turn the tap to the hot side and then just pull it through. If the water comes through like this, that means the boiler is full. And trust me, you know about it if it's not full, because you start getting air coming out and it would be sort of a bit coffee and stuff like that. So you need to make sure that you do that first. Ensure that your boiler is full of water before you start trying to switch it on. It's really important to do that. But that's, you know, that's that. Toilet, sorry about the sort of random left and right. But the toilet is nice and simple, just a simple cassette toilet. You've got a flush switch at the back, so you press that button and then your flush fluid starts pumping around, and then you shut your lid, open the flap, that drains the water into the cassette, and then close it back. So it's really important that you close that flap back over for a couple of reasons. If you don't close the flap back over, then you'll basically get a really bad smell coming up into the van, obviously. And if you also if you don't close it over, you won't be able to take the cassette out from outside. It kind of locks it in place, so you need to make sure that you definitely close that back over when you finish with it. Other than that, obviously, like I said to you, you know, you've got the main. So yeah, I mean, well, just quickly. So, I'll show you the whole fridge. Sorry, I was trying to work out what I'd forgotten. I knew I'd forgotten something. Okay, so the fridge is a 3-way fridge, so it works 3 different ways. You've got 12 volt with a little red button there, 240 volt, so that's your hookup with that one there, and then gas over here on the right. So if the engine was running, you can use this little 12 volt switch, and that basically just holds the temperature of the fridge. It won't get the fridge cold on its own, so if you have the fridge full of warm stuff and it's not being cooled down already, don't even bother with this switch because it won't do anything at all. You need to make sure that the fridge is already cold either via the electric hookup or the gas, and then switch over to 12 volt for when you're driving. That way the fridge will stay cold when you're driving, but like I said to you, it's not powerful enough on its own, so you have to do that. So that's that one. If you had a hookup plugged in, you could have this round wherever you want it. Switch the little green switch on there, and then basically it'll just start drawing about 0.5 amp, and after about sort of 3 or 4 hours you have a nice cold fridge. And if you want to use it on gas, I've got it on at the moment, so I'll just switch it off. So It is so simple. If you want to light the fridge up on gas, as long, you know, obviously make sure that your gas is actually switched on. But literally, igniter switch. So you can hear the igniter and you can see that it's flashing there. And then basically push in and round to the left with this dial. There you go, light straight up. Igniter stops, and then let go of that. And as long as this flame symbol is touching the little triangle down there, and you leave your ignition switch on and it's not flashing or making a noise, that's sort of a way that you know that your fridge is definitely lit. And that's it. So the gas is probably the quickest way to get the fridge cold, pretty closely followed up by the 240 volt. So it's up to you which way you do that. You can even use both at the same time if you really want to, if you're in a bit of a hurry for it. But you know, usually gas is absolutely fine at getting it cold nice and quickly. Sometimes I suggest if you're going to go away on holiday, I would suggest personally either hooking it up the night before you go away and switching the fridge on like that overnight so that everything's completely cold by the morning, or using the gas overnight as well, with everything in it, so that by the morning when you get back out, all you need to do is switch the gas off or the 240 volt off, and then just switch over to your 12 volt. And when you get to where you're going, turn off the 12 volt, switch over to one of the other two. All right, so just quickly recapping. So when you first come into the van, if you want to start, I'll just switch these bits off so you can see. If you want to use the van and you know, not damage anything, do it properly, you want to come in here, switch to van on the battery select, switch to internal on the pump, make sure that you've got decent amount of battery and some water, and then basically just come to your sink, pour your hot water, making sure that you've got decent pressure coming through and there's no air coming out. Switch it off, make sure that your pump turns itself off, and then you can go ahead and start using your things over here. So hot water at the top, heating at the bottom. Really important to make sure, like I said to you, that you don't leave your fridge on gas when you're driving, and that you switch your bottle off before you do start driving. 12 volt for when your engine's running, and then one of the other two for the rest of the time. But other than that, I think that's about it. I mean, it's got pretty much everything you can imagine, you know, a smaller motorhome to have. You know, you've got heating on gas, hot water on electric and gas. You know, it's a really nice van, actually. You know, some of the smaller vans have only got 12 volt fridges, but this one's obviously 3-way. So yeah, really nice little van, actually. So if you think I've missed anything out, or you want anything covering again, then just let us know. But otherwise, we look forward to seeing you soon to collect your van. Thanks very much.